Hi, it's Charlene O'Hanlon, Managing Editor at DevOps.com. Welcome back to DevOps World, Jenkins World 2018, San Francisco. I'm here today with Daniel Ritchie, who is DevOps Architect at Broadridge. Daniel, thank you for taking the time talking with me today.
Thank you, Charlene.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company to start off?
Broadridge Financial Solutions offers technical services to the financial services industry. This is all the things behind the scenes that have to happen that most people aren't aware of. And we have hundreds of products. So a very broad range of solutions and many different offerings, many different technologies that we have to deal with.
So I imagine being in the financial services space, you guys have a certain things that you need to kind of maybe be a little more aware of than in other industries, and you have some issues that are specific to financial services. So when we're talking about DevOps, what are some of the things that you guys are kind of grappling with on a daily basis?
You're absolutely right. DevOps is a space that, of course, is born out of freedom of, creativity and development experience and doing a lot of things that are considered cutting edge or bleeding edge, and then sometimes can be considered unsafe in many ways. So we think there's a sane way to do DevOps, and we have a focus on making sure that the operations being performed are within the constraints of a regulated, highly regulated industry. Unfortunately, we can't do absolutely anything we want, and with good reason. So DevOps for us means making sure that we're operating within the confines of our established processes, but also giving developers and infrastructure engineers the bandwidth that they need to be effective and use some of the latest technologies and latest practices.
So I imagine regulatory concerns, security concerns.
Yes.
Those are probably your two hot buttons. But
Absolutely.
what are some of the other things that you guys have to kind of be aware of and have to deal with?
Yes. Well, we're a fairly large company. We have thousands of technical employees, and many of them are established silos that have been around for a very long time. And there's a lot of good reason for that. I mean, within financial services, you're not going to be taking big risks with people's money or tracking those things. You need to be very sure about the things that you're doing. So we aren't going to gut our process and our patterns just to accommodate some of the latest and greatest approaches to DevOps. So operating within those confines is very challenging.
So, are you guys working mostly with fintechs, or are you working with larger, more established customers, such as the big banks, the financial institutions, the guys that have been around for hundreds of years? What is your mix of customers?
I would say it's definitely across the board, but we do have many of the larger clients that you would be familiar with.
So how do the different types of customers approach kind of the DevOps and how they go to market with their technologies? Because I know the established guys have been slower to market with a lot of their digital transformation efforts than the fintechs, and so they're getting left in the dust, and
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering, are they understanding the importance of DevOps and the fact that they have to make this digital transformation a reality for them to be able to survive?
Absolutely, without question. I think the value proposition has been so clear for so many years that if you're not adopting these practices, you're going to be left behind. And people know that. We have clients, well-established clients, that are coming to us and challenging our approach to DevOps because they need to know that we're doing these things in a way that's going to support a way of delivering that they expect to be in place.
Do you think that's transformation or that kind of getting it, if you will, is it something that they've just kind of in the last year or so kind of trying to put a little time frame around it?
I would say within the last 1 to 2 years, we've heard it's ramped up quite a bit. Definitely this year we hear it a lot more. I think that's, with the industry picking this up and it becoming a buzzword, and it's, DevOps, when we started 4 years ago, was, we were black ops. It wasn't something that was well recognized, and people didn't really understand what we were trying to do.
So how has your organization as a whole adopted the whole DevOps culture and premise? Is it something that you guys have done company-wide, organization-wide, or are you still kind of, have little silos of DevOps in your organization?
Oh, I think we're trying to figure a lot of that out. We were a silo of DevOps for a few years, and then about 2.5 years ago, we were recognized for the efforts that we had been successful with. And they created a center of excellence for DevOps that is organization-wide. One of the challenges with that is to create a center of excellence for DevOps is kind of a misnomer. It's not that we are delivering DevOps. It's really being a cornerstone for the organization to help everyone understand what DevOps means for them. I mean, we're defining DevOps across Broadridge, but you still need development teams to internalize that. You need infrastructure as code to become a practice for delivering your platforms. All of these things are not something that we're going to develop and define off to the side. It's something that each of the silos and each of the groups that we work with have to find a way to make that their own.
So how much input do you get from your customers to help you do your jobs better?
That's an interesting question. I don't work very closely to the customers, but we certainly hear feedback from, everyone that we work with on every level. There has been an effort that we have to be careful how I say it, but we are kind of piloting collaboration with a customer to kind of figure these things out. But it's less on the holistic DevOps approach that we have and more with one specific team that's trying to roll out a very cutting edge approach to doing things.
Interesting. So do you think it's going to get easier to do DevOps in financial services?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think we've been challenged a lot recently with defining DevOps for a large organization, especially financial services, which tends to be fairly rigid and intentionally so for good reason. I think challenging a lot of the ideas that are really incorrect interpretations of DevOps has been very challenging, right? Because you need some standard, you need some consistency, but you also don't want to squash, very beneficial ideas that people have. So balancing that becomes much more difficult with all of the noise around what the interpretations can be for DevOps.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Daniel, right? Daniel.
That's right, Daniel. Yes.
Sorry about that. I just had a right over my head. Daniel, thank you very much
Yes,
for your time.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Very nice.